Hello and welcome back to another episode of Great American Underdog, where we share inspiring stories of strength and success from real life underdogs. What does it really mean to fight for something bigger than yourself? Some battles happen in the ring, but the ones that matter most and shape us most, those happen in real life. And today we're going to dive into the story of a man who's turned personal discipline into community transformation and who's built more than a gym. He's built a safe haven for growth, resilience, and even second chances. From Golden Glove champion to professional boxer to local leader, nonprofit founder, and mentor to many, his journey is about showing up, staying grounded, and helping others find their own strength. It's my honor to welcome Tim Witherspoon Jr. Tim, how are you,
Wow,
sir?
I am great. That was the best introduction I could ever ask for. That
Well, I
was great,
appreciate
man.
you, my man. I didn't do it. You did it all, and I'm excited to unpack that today.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
Yeah, so talk to me a
yeah,
little bit about, let's just get right into it. You grew up in a boxing family. Dad was terrible, Tim Witherspoon, two-time heavyweight champ. How
mm.
did living in a boxing family shape your life early on, Tim?
Yeah, well, first I would like to say like what a lottery to win to be born into a family where the father is a two-time heavyweight champion. I have to start there. We're saying I am lucky in that aspect, not everybody, some people's parents they go to the office every day. Some people's parents work from home every day. My father happened to have one of the rarest achievements that there is to mankind, which is the heavyweight championship of the world. So, growing up in that kind of situation, um, at that time, growing up in it, you don't really realize it. It's like that's dad. He's going to work. His job might be at Caesar's Palace this week, or Trump Taj Mahal. But when you're young, going to those places, you know, twice a year, three times a year is normal. Um, so I think that kind of helped shape my mind into knowing that these things that most people think are out of reach. I'm already in it. I'm already living it. I'm already meeting famous people at a very young age where none of my friends were, hanging out with, Lennox Lewis or, meeting these famous people. So at that time, being young and growing up with a famous dad, it was not realizing it, but also uh, reaping the benefits from it as well at the same time. And it only took me, well, not only, but it took me until I was an adult to really appreciate all the things that I've been through as a kid and all that, and to really even understand that my dad was who he was. I was already a professional fighter myself. And when I realized that my dad was as well known as he was, we were traveling overseas, and we got off the airplane in Manchester in the United Kingdom. And as soon as we got on the train, someone recognized who he was, and I was a professional at that time, and that is when I went, holy freak! Well, my dad is actually bigger than I realized. That was my awakening at that point. For that.
Right, like that was the aha moment because up to that point, it was very normal for you. Like that's dad, he goes to work, and this is just the way life is. And for anybody looking from the outside in, they're like, "Holy crap!" You had this experience, and it just took you a little bit while. And it's crazy because you and I have talked in the past
Mhm.
at length and have become friends since I've joined your gym and just talking about life. And we share a lot of parallels in terms of mindset. And it's crazy because we talk about how your perception shapes your reality. So once you were able to see it from a different lens, you started to think a little bit differently. It sounds like,
Yeah,
once you recognize the situation you were blessed to be in.
right. It went from the dad that was going to work, coming home, just cooking for you, doing simple stuff, to my dad is known all around the world for what he's done, and he is recognizable for what he's done. And I'm not just doing this because it's what I like to do. Obviously it is, but I'm doing this because someone before me has done an amazing job at the same thing that I'm attempting to do. So that perspective, it also changed me as far as going from someone who uh, thought that I was not, I don't want to use the word entitled. I thought that I was supposed to be a professional fighter to someone who realized that it was made for me to be a professional fighter.
Right, that pathway was, like, set for you, early on, but it was up to you at the end of the day, Tim, to
Yeah,
also follow that path, right? Like, you know,
100%.
you could have went in a bunch of different directions potentially, but there was something
Yeah.
inside of you that moved you forward down that path, and then ultimately, I think the bigger thing too is the impact piece, which we're gonna get into in this episode, is, like, the importance of making an impact in others' lives. You saw the impact that dad had in others, and at home, you know,
Yeah.
being a father, clearly very involved, you know, cooking and things like that, like you just mentioned. But the impact piece on what you could do to other people, I think, is at the heart of what drives you. And I'm excited to
Sure,
have the
sure.
audience learn more about that. I'm curious, what's the most important thing you feel like growing up in that boxing family and boxing in general? What has that taught you about life outside of the ring?
See, a lot of the questions that you're going to ask me today, I have two answers for because there's the Tim that had lived that life, and now there's the Tim that's looking back at that life. So the Tim that lived that life, and the way that I explain it to my friends and family, that the best thing that came out of my father being who he was I know what it's like to have $1 million, but I also know what it's like to have a -$1 million. So it's the best of both worlds. I know what it's like for me and my sisters to be able to go to Sesame Place every day. But I also know what it's like to not have electricity for a couple of days in my house. I also know that my dad had to make some decisions to where we had to borrow money from family members, so we could eat, and then, make it to where he was back on top again, so where some people might see, oh man, that must have been hard for you. No, man, that was actually preparing me for when I was an adult, because you know my kids and my wife, they don't have that experience, so they don't really, when hard times come up, they might handle it a little bit different than me, because I've been through it before. I might be able to just be like everything is going to be okay, where everything's good, everything always works out, because I know what it's like to be there. I know what it's like to have to go to grandma's house for dinner, because my dad had to make decisions that, you know, were ethically right for him, but it might have hurt his pockets. So growing up, that is what I really appreciate. It wasn't all just glitz and glamour. There was a lot of that darkness and that and growing up too, which now I appreciate.
Yeah, and also, it sounds like you learned in that experience growing up, number one, like the how to fight for what you want, and then also how to fight for what's right.
Yeah,
Because like you
exactly.
just said, dad showed you an example of doing something ethical, even though it hurt his pocket, but was doing the right thing by people, by his family, whatever the case may be. And that's so important, especially in a situation like yours where you're constantly helping people, and it's about doing the right thing. As
For
Jim
sure.
Rohn said, who's a famous personal development coach, he goes, "Seek
Yeah.
to make a difference, and then the dollars follow." So, however you're looking to make that difference in somebody's life, it's about that more than it is about making a buck. So
Oh,
that's a really awesome
100%.
lesson that you
Yeah,
learned
yeah,
early on
for
from dad
sure.
and being in that world.
Yep, for sure. And like you said, I carry that with me. I teach the same thing to my family. I teach everyone that I come in contact with. I'm like, uh, hard times don't last too long. As long as you can see that you can make it through the other side. That's the most important part of it. Don't give up.
Yeah, and the what's the phrase goes like, tough times don't last, tough people do. And,
Exactly.
you know, as someone, Tim, who has stood across from you in the ring and we have exchanged some punches and sparred with each other, like, and being a boxer myself, I find it very interesting for people like us who, like, there's like that two different type, like you said, I could talk about this from two different ways, right? Like
Right.
fighter Tim and then me now.
Right.
And there's that, like, I always tell people it's kind of like a light switch. You know, people look at me and they say, I would never picture you as a boxer, but then getting into the ring, it's like you're a little bit of a different person. But I
Right.
will
Right.
say, like, and I'm curious, you know, what does it mean to you to just be a fighter? Like, how do you carry that that light switch,
Yeah.
that change from being in the ring to outside the ring? Like, what traits do you carry with you in everyday life that have helped you persevere?
There's a lot to unfold in that one little question, and I got to start all the way back at the beginning where, um, my father being my trainer, I had at first it was a way for me to bond with him. It wasn't for me to become a fighter or whatever. If dad's going to the gym, that's his job. How can I hang out with him? So I was just going to the gym as a young kid. I remember coming out of the gym with no muscles, just being, and but just being happy to be around the guys. So I think that's why my boxing journey started. I'm one boy with five sisters, and so I gravitated less to hanging out with my sisters and more to wanting to be around my dad or even the kids in the neighborhood, the other guys in the neighborhood. So uh, my boxing journey started out of wanting to hang out with my father. And then as I gradually got older, I was playing all kinds of sports. I played football for 8 years. I was a basketball player. And a lot of people don't know this. In high school, I was a varsity volleyball player. Um, yeah, yeah. So I never was a mean person. I always enjoyed winning, though. I love scoring touchdowns. I love hitting the winning shot. Those were the kind of things that got me picked first at recess. That I found glory from just being a good athlete. So, you know, I never wanted to fight because I wanted to hurt people. I just always wanted to win. And that was my motivation. So when you see me in the ring, my main goal is to win, but unfortunately in boxing to win you have to hurt your opponent. Um but that's the mindset that I go into is like win at any cost. And unfortunately for my opponent that means that I gotta hurt him. But you know, before I go into the fight, I'm I have gratitude towards my opponent. There's a respect there because without him I don't have a partner to dance with. You know, and then after, the fight, I show gratitude because it takes a lot for that person to get in there and to do what they're doing as well. So my whole life, boxing has been about sport. I love sports. It's been about just winning and losing, not being aggressive or not aggressive. Even when I'm in there and I'm aggressive, I'm not doing it out of anger. I'm in there to win. I'm hitting to not get hit. Uh, using my skills. So um, that is the number one thing that I tell people. Like I go and talk to schools and everything like that, and I tell them like, yo, don't become a fighter. you know, you think that you have it in you to uh, get up and fight other human beings for your money. Like you don't really have that in you. This is a sport where you have to have the determination to win at all costs, at all time. And unfortunately, that's not everybody has that in them.
Yeah, and I will say that that does resonate outside of the ring, though, too. If you want to be successful at high levels in anything, you have to have, not because you want to dominate other people, like you said, neither of us. share that trait at all. Like my
Right.
dad used to say to me, "You're a little too nice sometimes." Like in the ring,
Right,
like
right, right.
give people too much leeway. Like,
Mhm.
and it's because he had that more like aggressive, like go out there and like kill. Like you have to be like that, but you don't. But you do have to be competitive.
Yeah.
And if you want to win at a high level, you do have to treat it like sport in ways. And whatever you're doing, whether it's in the ring or outside of the ring, business, education, etc., you have to be hungry enough to get after what you want. And I think that that's
Definitely.
definitely a big lesson that I learned, and sounds like you learned from boxing early on, is like go out there and go, seek out to win, whatever that might mean,
Right.
however, which
And
way.
and and that might mean training every day. That might mean, and I'm using those words from for boxing, but it's the same in business. You know, being consistent. You know, and that's what really gets someone who is not a killer or someone who is not out here street fighting. That's what gets you to be the best fighter in the world. Consistency, training every day, building up. Same way with business, the way that you get good, consistency, training every day, doing something towards your goals. There's no difference.
Yeah, and also just being willing to at times, like, and you know this, and I know this through sparring, it's like you're not gonna quote unquote win every sparring match, and you're not really supposed to.
Right.
Like
No,
you're
not
going
at
to
all.
have bumps and bruises, and those lessons of not bringing your hand
Yeah.
back or not moving your head,
Th-
like
This
or
is the
getting a good body shot that bruises your ribs.
this is the statement that I want you to use from now on when it comes to that. If you're the best person in the gym, you're in the wrong gym. Sometimes you got to be the hammer, but to get better, you have to be the nail. There's no way around that. So even me, I had to leave my gym because I'm the best one here. I had to go down to Jerron Ennis's gym and I had to get my butt kicked a little bit because I know, and that's what's going to make me better. That and being the best person around is not going to help you grow at all.
Yeah, and that willingness, Tim, to be uncomfortable, like, and put yourself in those situations, like, I heard this phrase recently in a podcast, voluntary discomfort.
Mm-hmm. It,
You
it,
know,
us guys that are doing this don't really understand that it's voluntary. We just do, yeah, But it is. But the first for me, being born into it, it definitely takes away that voluntary thing. But everyone when they first start is something that they decide to do. They make the decision to come into the gym. They make the decision to spar for the first time. Um, and from there, that's where you find out, what it takes, if you can do it or not. I just got done telling somebody today that you don't know what you can do until you get punched in the face. But that person has to volunteer to get punched in the face first, or you have to even get past you gotta fight yourself to even get in there.
right? And nobody's expecting that a lot of times. Like I remember I would get people in the ring for the first time when I would be holding hand pads for somebody, and I told you I had a small ring in my house growing
Mhm.
up in the basement, and like you just see like they get hit and then they immediately go to anger. And one of the things I used to tell people is calm in a state of chaos. Like you have to
Right,
be
right.
able to continue to think. And the minute that you let your emotion overrule you, whether it's to get in the ring or not, or you're already in there and get hit, you're gonna not do as well, and you're going to learn a tough lesson if you don't change it.
And how good of a metaphor is that for real life? Where if you do things out of anger or haste, most of the time you're gonna make a mistake. If you relax, take your time, play the game of chess the way that it's intended to be played, you're going to be more successful. And that's just overall life. I love the way that boxing, anything that you do in boxing, you can relate to real life.
Yeah, man. I just always wish I found it sooner, but I found it when I needed to find it,
For
and here we
sure.
are now.
Yep.
And like you said, like being able to stay calm in a state of chaos, like you said, not doing things in the feeling of anger, and also being able to understand that there's no such thing as instant gratification. You don't just step into
No
a
way.
ring, one time spar, and now all of a sudden you know everything. Like, it just doesn't work that way in business and in life. And I'm curious, Tim, just like going into, Witherspoon Boxing and Fitness, like, how did you go from winning Golden Gloves, being a professional boxer, and then ultimately deciding to become an entrepreneur and opening your own gym? Because again, that's not a path. You and I share that as well, being entrepreneurs. It's not a
Mm,
path for everybody.
no, not at
But
all.
again, it's one that's a longer road that takes discipline. What brought you to that point of deciding this is the path I want to take?
Right. Well, first it was realizing that the only class in school I ever got straight A's in was gym class. All my other classes were up and down there, but I always got a consistent A in gym. Now, when I was fighting professionally, what happened was I got injured. Um, this shoulder over here, I got my labrum replaced, and what a lot of people don't know is that I dropped out of high school to be a professional fighter. I left school to do what I'm doing right now. So I went and got my GED from Bucks County Community College, but I didn't have any other certification or whatever. That just counted as, I graduated high school. So I get this injury, and one of my good friends, Christine Kraczynski, she's a bit older than me, so like I just like my older sister. Um, while I was injured, I was still going to the gym, just hanging out. She said, "Hey, I got this friend who certifies people to become personal trainers. Why don't you know, go get your certification?" Uh, so I just said, "Hey, why not? I'm injured right now. I won't be able to fight." So I went. I studied for the test. It's perfect timing too because I'm having my second child at this time. All before that, I was feeding my first son off of boxing, and all of a sudden, uh, I'm injured. You know what I mean? So I go, and it was just beautiful. I passed the test. I come home. My in-laws are happy. My family's happy. Everybody's happy. At that point, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm just happy that I got a certification under my belt. I can do something else while I'm healing because I'm always going to go back to boxing. Um, so with that certification, I ended up training that same person that got me the cert that told me to go get certified. I trained her for free. And I trained somebody else. My first two clients that I trained were for free. And I did that because I wanted to, I felt like even though I was probably a better trainer than anybody else in the gym already, just from my life experiences, I wanted to make sure that I could give my customers or whoever was with me what I could give them, the value that it was worth. So those two clients for free then turned into $40 an hour, then turned to $60 an hour, and then turned to $80 an hour. And and not to make anyone that's a fighter right now think, well, maybe I should go into the training world because when you're training people, that takes away from you. You're training. So if you're still fighting, I suggest that you try to, as hard as you can, stay on that path. Just focus on that. But for me, becoming a certified trainer helped me when I was injured, be able to take care of my kids eventually, not knowing that would turn into where I'm sitting at right now. Two free clients are turning into me, getting into my own gym, my own business. But it wasn't that easy, after I was training people at a certain gym, people would ask me, "Oh, can you come to my house and train me? Okay, let's go to the park." I used to drive up to uh, um, Doylestown every morning, and this is when I really knew it was like three times a week. This is when I really knew that I could open up my own place because I was working for a gym that only lasted about 6 months, and I was probably I had the best class there. I don't want to say that, but it is what it is. But what happened was when they closed down, a lady said, "Hey, I have all this property. I'm just gonna build a gym for you to train the people that were coming to this class, and you guys are all gonna come to my property and have this. So she built a boxing gym for me to still come up there. Now I said Doylestown, but it's Peddler's Village, which they're connected. They're connected. But so I'm going up there now, cutting out the middleman. I'm cutting out the people that were paying me. I'm getting money directly from these clients that were there that follow me to this lady who built the gym on her property so I can train them. So that's when the light bulb went off. I said, if someone is willing to do all this for me, then I'm capable of building something where everybody will just come to me. So from that point to, let's say, it took me only about 2 years to raise enough money to get everything that I needed to have an opening day at Witherspoon Boxing Fitness. So I retired at the age of 30. I was already training a couple of people overlapping in boxing, but from the age of 30 until the age of 33 is when I did all that grind work of training people for free, going to their house, going to the park, to eventually opening up my own gym. Took me 3 years, and it's just been going good ever since.
Yeah, man. Wow. Like I never knew that portion of the story, through our talks, and to hear it from you now, I'm like, I just have so many things I resonate with in there that I could unpack. But just like one of them is just like, again, the persistence, and the drive. Once you realize like, hey, what I have here is valuable. I do it really well. I see the impact I'm making on others, and not even necessarily coming from you. It came from those outside sources
Yeah,
that people believed in you enough to invest in, like, I'm going to open a boxing gym on my property so Tim can come
yeah,
train people. Like, that's a kudos to you and your commitment to helping others, and what you felt like your value was to
yeah.
creating an impact in their lives through boxing, something that you grew up with.
I don't want other people that are going to watch this podcast to think that it was all just me wanting to help other people out. Obviously there was necessities. I had to feed my kids. There was things that were motivating me. I didn't want to be a retired boxer that was working at McDonald's. So all the motivation wasn't just me helping out other people. That naturally just was a part of me, but that naturally came because we all know that boxing helps people. We all know that. Well, I have a saying that boxing does one or two things. It either takes you off the drugs or puts you on them. But for the most part, boxing is a catalyst and to a pathway for so many people for positivity. I just happen to be able to uh, not only I think with my personality, but also through the sport, be able to spread that with people. But there is not always uh it's not always peaches and cream, I guess you could say.
No, but it started,
Um,
from, to your point, and you're 100% right. Like, it started from a little bit of survival instinct. Like, to
yeah,
your point, like, you wanted to have something that you could thrive in, and you found that was a means to an end, and then it evolved and blossomed into what it is today. But that first inspiration was survival, and some people, I don't know if you ever heard of the book Acres of Diamonds, but a
no,
guy sells his property to somebody else for an opportunity to go to another country to farm diamonds. And then when he goes there, he finds out that there really wasn't that many diamonds there. He goes back to his property to buy it back, and turns out that the person that bought his property just dug a little bit deeper and found diamonds, and then did not want to sell it back. And sometimes you're going to have to go through the mud and the dirt and
oh
things like
yeah,
that to find a diamond and polish it. But if
wait,
you're not willing to do that, you never get to that point. You were able to have the discipline to say, I'm going to keep doing this, keep making an impact, even if it's for free right now. Start to build that clientele. You saw people were willing to pay you, and
mhm,
then you were able to make it through those first 3 years where other people may not have.
right,
And you got to that point.
yeah, and the support system that I had, they helped me. Like I said, getting that certification, um, really had my family supporting me because they knew the sacrifice that I made to be a boxer. That I just said in 11th grade, like, look, this is what I'm going to do, and they saw that I was giving it my all, traveling, training every day, um, boxing whenever I can, going overseas, and to get injured, uh, you know, I'm pretty sure everyone was worried, like, oh man, this is the point where they say, oh, you need something to fall back on. And so once I found that thing to fall back on, and like I said, everybody knew that I was a straight A student in gym class. Once I got that certification, the energy that my support system gave me as well helped me keep going. So yeah, I naturally have something that I'm not going to quit, but everyone needs that core. You need your wife to support you, your parents to support you. Even I get motivation from my kid. Now my son's reposting my stuff on Instagram saying he's proud. My son, my other son, which I don't think you met him. Um, I'm talking to him. I'm talking to him about life, and he said, "Dad, he's 15 now." He said, "Dad, man, you should really be on doing some TED talks, you know, things like that, you know." So you got to draw that inspiration and recognize it, and use that as fuel to keep yourself going because this life is a roller coaster, bro. It's a roller coaster. You're going to be on the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and you don't know when that's going to happen. But the energy that you keep around you is what's going to keep you going. It's going to bring you back to the top of that roller coaster.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. Wow. And in the gym, Tim, like how do you approach like building a community space now, like for other people to be able to get through that roller coaster? And what are some of the like, I guess, invisible battles that you see people face when they first walk through the gym doors? Like what are they really looking
Okay.
for, and how do you make that space for the community to thrive in?
Right. Well, first, you have to genuinely care about people before you care. We know this, right? The energy that you put out is what you get back. We know this, and I didn't know this was the way that I was behaving until recently. But I naturally just wanted to be nice to people. And what do people do that to people that are nice to them? They support them. They they buy them lunch. They they spend their money with them. They spend their equity, their time with people that they care about, people that they enjoy their energy. Um, that is something that I've been doing, something to get in the time and not even real for years. So one of the models that I did when I first had this gym, first came into the gym before anything was ever in there, I thought I have to make this gym inclusive for all kinds of people. I can't just make it the kind of gym that I grew up in, where it's like a zoo, where a kid will go in there and then get beat up on the first day and never come back. I knew that I couldn't do that. So if I was to give our viewers an idea of my vision of what my gym was going to be like, I said it's going to be half traditional Bottega and half LA Fitness. I said we need a gym that's comfortable enough that women will be afraid to walk in the door by themselves, but also a gym that's serious enough that we can build some champions out of it, and we can all do it together. If you come in my gym, you have people that are undefeated, Golden Gloves winner. I have a pro in here. You have me in here, and then you have them working with people that are coming in on their first day. I have people that are in here that are criminals that are working right next to cops. I have people in here who are religious working with people that don't believe in spirituality. And that is the beautiful makeup of the gym. I believe that that's the beautiful makeup of our country. But the thing is that we have to have a place where we understand that people that are different are in our lives for a reason. These people that come to my gym, sometimes I fall into the trap. Sometimes I look at somebody and I go, This is gonna be this kind of person or that, or I look at, I do it myself. But then what happens is you end up talking to this individual and you understand now that they have a lot to contribute. They're not someone that you write off. Everyone has a lesson to give you, or something to tell you. Even someone that is unruly, somebody that is not necessarily a positive person, they're still teaching you something else, teaching you a lesson. So it's like for my establishment, it's leaving all that stuff outside the door and coming inside and realizing that we're all the same. We're all one person. We all are trying to box. We're all trying to achieve this. There's people in here that are getting divorced. There's people in here who are bringing their kids here because they're on their electronics all day or they've been bullied. There's people with high blood pressure, people that are working on their balance, people that are working on their mental state. We're all working on something here. So once we realize that and we're not different, we're all the black guy and the white guy are both getting a divorce. Eh, the Spanish guy and the Asian guy both are having trouble with their kids. And that's what the boxing gym is about. The boxing is about bringing people together. And once you establish that, that then everyone will feel that energy. Everyone will understand.
Yeah, man. Like I'm just sitting here listening to that. You know, I already resonate with everything you just said
Right.
in terms because from our conversations, but like we call it in our business, just being a real freaking human. Like be a real person and other real people will gravitate to you organically and naturally.
Somewhere along the line, and I'm just going to be out front and I'm going to say this. Somewhere along the lines, people forgot that we are supposed to learn from transgender people and not push them away. We're supposed to embrace them, understand their nature, not say that they don't belong. And I don't know where we ended up with that disconnect, where people forgot that you were supposed to learn from everyone that we come in contact with, because that's when you start to get these hatred things, because you just don't know these people. You don't know them. Most of the people that hate other people, I've never even been around them.
Yeah. They never took the time to learn who they really are, and I think a lot of people shy away from that, Tim. I'm glad you brought it up because I think it's something important to discuss that don't shy away from people that are different from you. Take it as an opportunity to learn from them, and I think people are afraid of what makes people different if it's not something they don't already know. One of my mentors, Francisco Acosta, told me a quote. I believe it's by Shakespeare. I hope he doesn't hear this and get mad at me, but I know the quote. Uh, Nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So you decide.
Exactly. And I have a lot of friends right now where I'm teaching them that very thing. The way that you define something is the way that you view it, the way that things happen. So we all have the power to define everything positive or negative.
Yeah. And in your gym, like you're creating a culture of positivity, a culture of acceptance, and a culture of openness. And that's why I continue to see the gym thrive and do so
For
well and
sure.
people gravitate towards it because I every time I've ever walked in there, I leave so amped up by the people I met
Right.
because everybody's there to help each other. And it's just genuine, man. You can just feel it. And we talked about that last time we got together.
And,
And
and
I'm, you know,
not to
go ahead.
cut you off, but
No,
for
please.
for all of our business friends and everything like that, it starts at the top. All right. So if you're running a car dealership or landscaping business and you're the boss, it starts with you. If you are going to work like you don't want to be there, then your employees are going to go to work like they don't want to be there. If you're going to work bringing donuts and coffee in the morning, your productivity from your employees are going to be so much better. Uh, so it, everyone that wants to be a boss, if you're an entrepreneur, you want to open up your own business, you know that all the energy starts from you. If you are having a gym or business where your customers or your employees are dreading on coming into that gym, it's because of you. Everything that's in your gym, or I keep saying gym, everything that's in your business is a mirror. It's a mirror of everything that you're putting out, So if you open up a gym, try, or a business, and you open up a business, try to remember that it starts with you. The energy starts with you.
Yeah, and listen, you say gym a lot because your gym is your
I'm a gym.
business,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah,
understand. You're
yeah.
you're putting the two together, but it's so true. What you're saying is like the leadership piece, like it starts with the precedent that you set. So if you create, we always talk about if you have a culture of openness, it's easy to say that you have a culture of openness. It's another thing to have the actions to back it up, right?
Mhm.
Like a lot of businesses want to say like, "Oh, we have a culture of excellence," but they can't define what the action things that they do on a daily basis that makes their culture of excellence.
Right.
Where like you can't. And when people can feel that, like you're serving your clients, but then also your internal clients, which are the people that work for you. And I just want to leave you with something, Tim, which I might have said to you before. The famous marketer, Jay Abraham, talks about the difference between a customer and a client, and he does so through using the Webster's Dictionary definition of both. A
Yeah.
customer is somebody who purchases a commodity or service. It is totally transactional. It's you come in, you pay for this, you get this in return. A client is someone who is under the protection of another. So, Tim, I will say to you that you 100% have clients because
Yeah.
your perception is the relationship and that these people are under your protection. When they walk through the doors of Witherspoon Boxing and Fitness, you have an obligation to them to serve them at the highest levels and help them achieve whatever those goals are that
Yeah.
they have. So, kudos to you, man, because
Thank
you've
you.
done
Thank
that
you.
on your own. And obviously, yes, you've had support, but like you foster that culture every day that you walk in that gym.
Thank you. And for everyone, the way that you do that is to genuinely love people, genuinely be positive, and genuinely care about their needs, care about what they're coming to you for. I have people that are politically on the other side of you, you know what I mean? That we don't align politically. And I'm telling them, I'm like, yo, like, guys, you have to love everyone. So they go, oh, but you don't love the president and everything. And I go, I love the hell out of Donald Trump because of what he's teaching me. I might not agree. I might not vote for him. I might not do that. But I love the fact that he's teaching me things every day. And that's what we do here at the gym. I have people that come to the gym and I look at them. And if I was to look at them on the street, I might not walk on the same side of the street. But then when they come into the gym, and I keep this motto that it's about their heart, how they feel, then you notice that everyone has a heart. Everyone can react to compassion. I've hugged people that other people would not hug, you know. But you know why? Because I see the energy, I see the change in these people. I see it like the first time that these people have ever had a stranger care about them that much. It's the first time that they've ever been randomly hugged by someone, and it changes lives. This is what business owners, politicians, fathers and mothers should be doing, because it really is the energy you put out is where you get back. It's selfish of me to be hugging these people because I want to feel good.
Well, you're skipping ahead of me, bro, because
Oh,
that's talking
sorry,
about
sorry.
collecting coins. No, 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 you're good. You're good. Because you're talking about collecting coins, which we're going to get to. But
Yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah, yeah.
it is a little selfish. And you know what though? That's okay because like what you're doing is not selfish in terms of giving. But what the beautiful thing is, and to your point about telling the business owners out there or parents, whatever, like if you're in that state of giving, genuinely wanting to give and add value to another human being, it is going to come back to you because you're not doing it with expectation of return. Like same thing we tell people when they try to network in business. It's like you don't just go and exchange business cards. Like that's not networking. It's
Right.
how you activate your network after you've met somebody and engage with them in a way that actually adds value. And then You help enough people get what they want, you do get what you want. It's just a byproduct of being a good person and
For
not
sure.
judging people, because we can all learn from each other and move forward.
And that's the other piece of that last question you asked about opening up the gym. Uh, yeah, I wanted to have a gym where everybody could come to, but also a big part of me is activism and really caring about people that need a leg up, So I knew that once I found the community, where the gym was going to be, that a big part of my success wasn't just going to be handing out pamphlets. I knew it was going to be immersing myself into the community. So in order to do that, what did I do? I started donating to the local food pantry. I had public cleanups. I started NA meetings at my gym. Uh, you know, Outreach, things like that. Uh, that helped, the community see us in a certain light. Wow, if I have an event, let's call it Witherspoon. They'll be there, and there'll be a positive thing at our event. You know, but helping out your community uh pays you back dividends. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to skip forward, but I'm going into the political realm now. I don't know how much they care about me helping the community out there, but as far as business goes, if you guys open up a business, get into your community, join some causes, do some charity work. It comes back to you tenfold. Man.
Yeah, man, it 100% does. And I so like have so much love for you in that way of just being a real human. And that's why we always connected, every time we
Yeah,
talk,
for
man.
sure.
And I'm just grateful for the relationship we've developed and as it continues to grow.
Likewise,
You know,
likewise.
yeah, man, I know like, you answered a question prior to this recording, and I had asked you, what drives you, and you had said, it used to be love of accomplishment. Now there's no drive. There's just flow.
Yeah,
What exactly does that mean to you? I know you explained some things before about what
yeah.
drives you, but talk to me about the flow piece of it.
So I'll try to explain it in a non-spiritual way. Um, so yeah, so for instance, when I opened up my gym, I had this feeling, and there, a lot of people that help you out with your business won't be people that you know. It won't be your family members. It won't be. But I had to tell some people. I had to say, look, I'm starting this train. If you don't get on this train, you're gonna miss it, bro. You got to get on it. Once this ball starts rolling, there's no stopping it, and that's exactly what's happening. I started something that in 2018, I was sitting here in the gym all day, nobody coming. I had my few, clients or whatever. They came from my old job and everything, but not enough to sustain a business, you know. But I had this vision that look, this ball, I just started to nudge it. I just started to nudge it. Then that turned into throwing my first event and this and that to the point to where now I can go away for a week and the gym will be okay. You know, that is what I mean by it flowing, you know. But it didn't start out that way. There was plenty of days in here where I thought, man, did I make the right decision? I should be working for somebody, or I was in here so long that I felt my body physically not the same anymore. You know, some days I felt like I was getting nauseous. I was going to throw up because of just the work ethic that it took. But once you make it through that, there's no stopping it. There's nothing. Right now, I could go home. Somebody will call me, hey, a brand new person just came into the gym. They want to sign up. You know, it's flowing. Spiritually, though, what I did was I stopped forcing and stopped having those thoughts of did I make the right decision or not? You know, once you stop, I was doing that a lot, but once you stop doing that and you just let things happen, they happen. Now, you have to have a certain part of it. You have to have a vision, you have to see where you want to be, and you do have to do work to get there, but you don't have to force that work. If you wake up every day, you do something here, you do something there, it'll start flowing on its own. I truly believe, especially today more than ever, that the universe will provide for you, but you have to follow the positivity, the energy that you put out. There's certain laws that you need to follow, which cross over from spirituality into just everyday life as well. Uh, but you have to follow those guidelines, and then that flow will happen naturally.
Yeah, and I think but I think the real life and spirituality thing do go hand in hand
Because
in a way
spirituality
because
is real life. Just
exactly,
to
man.
certain people, yeah.
Yeah, well, to somebody like to people like me and you who understand that and think on that deeper level, we get that because we've both experienced what happens when you just allow things to flow and you don't fight the universe,
Yeah,
and the will that's out there that's pushing you in a certain direction, you go with it. But in order to go with it, you have to also first feel in alignment and have that burn the boats moment of I'm not going to look back. Like I made this decision for a reason and I have to stay in alignment with the decision I made
yeah,
because there are times even on my entrepreneurial journey where it was like I had a comfy job with Audi and I had a very set process and a way I was going to go. And then I went into this completely unknown thing. And I had that moment where I had to say, burn the boats and don't look back.
right.
And it's been nothing but a blessing. And I'm so grateful to, like you, have built something that people just are gravitating towards. Right. But that only happened because I allowed myself to be in flow. And on the days where, like, you've had them, I felt like I could have done more today. No, you
Right.
couldn't have.
No,
Like, that's what you did, and that's
yeah.
okay. And tomorrow's a new day. So being in that alignment, how would you, in your experience, like, how do discipline and going for it and the alignment piece, like, how do those go hand in hand when pursuing like a bigger mission and vision like you've had in life and with Witherspoon Boxing?
So, yeah, that part is brand new to me. You know, for so long, I was waking up every day saying, I gotta pound the pavement. I gotta go do this. I gotta go make it happen. And it was happening, I was making things happening, but it was also causing me a lot of stress, mentally, physically. I was not the same person. I was drinking a lot of alcohol and coping and doing other things that I shouldn't have been doing. Um, and then, one day I just said, hey, man, there's got to be a different. Well, I didn't say it. Something happened. I don't know what switch happened, but I just said, hey. But I didn't realize that throughout this whole journey of me opening up my business and giving advice to other people, that I was giving them the advice that you just mentioned and that I needed, which was you don't have to do everything. You just got to do a little bit of something. And that little bit of something might be something as simple as writing a note down. And that counts as the energy that you need to get to where you're going, because the universe sees that energy. They see that you've done something to something that excites you, something that makes you feel happy, and then it will provide for you after that eventually. Now I know people have bills, people have, they have to eat, things like that. So there are things that you have to do. I have to still come to the gym every day. I can't just say, hey, the gym's good. I don't have to
I'm
show up
out.
in it.
I'm
Yeah,
going on
I'm
vacation.
out.
I'm going to
Nah, nah,
Aruba.
I still got to work, the process. But to get to my goals, my vision, is a lot less stress to just say that it's going to happen. I have to see it. I have to know that there are some steps I have to take to get there, but I don't have to force it. It'll come. It'll come. So that's that's what I'm living as now. But before I was thinking, man, I gotta pound this pavement because this is gonna be just the first gym. I need two gyms. I need three gyms.
Right. Yeah, that was your sense of accomplishment was like building this empire,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Now it's like, okay, the empire is built. What is going to be provided for me next? And it's not has nothing to do with the gym. What's been provided for me is now I'm a politician. I'm running for school board. What's been provided for me is a second chance to have a boxing career again. What's been provided for me now, I'm giving commencement speeches at graduation. I'm the high school dropout that they call to high school to talk to the kids. Like, so it's like if I force myself and I concentrate only on this gym, only on pounding the pavement, only on making us a success, is going to block all those other blessings that are coming in. So that's where the flow comes in. The flow comes from, you know what you got to do, but now you got to let go and let it happen. That's
Yeah.
basically what it is.
Yeah, let go and trust the universe, and then just keep taking that inspired action when it comes to you and
Yeah,
allowing it to flow outwardly.
it's not easy. It's easier
Oh, it's
for
easy to say, harder to do.
yeah. Definitely. It takes some work. It takes some actually listening to your own conscience, actually listening to what your mind is telling you, because we all know right from wrong, but we choose to not listen to it for some reason. So that's a big part of it. We all have these answers. We all know if someone comes into your business, to smile at them.
Not everybody
Now,
does.
you've been to a business where you walked in and the person's body language was not great, you know, and what happens? That starts it all bad. That starts off the interaction bad, you know. So these little things that we all know, treat people the way you want to be treated. You mentioned earlier, you didn't use these words. What will be, you know, all these things that our parent or I like to say my mother, all these things that my mother taught me, uh, actually are keys to success. We just we just hear them and we forget that.
Yeah, we do. And then also I think it comes full circle. And the other thing too is not everybody has the same level of emotional intelligence. And that sometimes takes time to develop.
Yeah,
Like one thing I noticed right away with you since we've met is like you have very strong EQ, at least since we've met, right? Like I didn't know the previous Tim as much as I know
yeah,
the current version of you. And like that EQ piece comes into such a play as a coach, a mentor, a father, right?
for sure.
Being able to have that level of emotional intelligence is being aware of who you are in this environment
Yeah,
as well. And then, for yourself, Tim, because I know that I think I know the answer here, but how do you continue when you're filling everybody else's cup constantly? Like, how do you fill your own cup? And
yeah,
I think it comes from the collecting coins concept in part. So can you
yeah.
explain to me, like, how do you keep your cup full as you're pouring into others, and then go into a little bit about collecting coins for the audience because I love that concept, bro.
All right, so let's. I just want to make sure that because as you were talking, I'm like thinking of all these different things. Let's like, so let's start with the collecting coins thing, because that really is uh the reason why my son said I should be doing TED Talks. um, the way that we get happiness in our life is by making other people happy, by being positive and showing compassion to other people. The energy you put out is what you get back. All right. So a lot of people are sitting around waiting for other people to be nice to them. That's not how it works. You can't expect for someone to meet you and be nice to you. That's not how it works. You start the tone. You are the person that creates the energy that is around you. All right. So when you're nice to someone, they're nice to you back. That's that transaction. That's where you get that coin, you know. That and that's when you're collecting that, when you're opening that door for that lady at Wawa, or Wawa for everybody that's watching, is a convenience store around here. Uh, when you open that when you open up that door for that lady and you say hi, have a good day, or when you uh even go up to a stranger and you smile at them and they smile back, you're collecting positivity. That energy is stored inside of you and you feel good. You don't have any idea how many times I've been in the line and I bought coffee for a random person behind me. And then their energy is like, oh my God, you're so nice. I can't believe it. And I tell them, yeah, no, thank you. But, now you have to go do the same thing that I did for someone else, you know. And when we're spreading this, like, let's talk about our businesses. When I do that for, say, one of my clients, because I have no customers now that you explain that, I have only clients. Uh, and they end up doing that for another person. They end up doing that for another person. They end up doing that for another person, all within the span of an hour. And our whole gym has that positive energy, you know. So that collecting coins thing uh, is for our mental health, is for our environmental health. Uh, and we all know that the energy that you put in is what you get out, but we just don't practice it. That's the key word. You got to practice that, and I guarantee you, you'll be all right. Well, for instance, some people don't want to be positive to negative people. I have negative people in my life, uh, and I've recently told them, hey guys, I love you, man. Even though you might not like me, I love you. And when you do that to people, and they still can't find it in their heart to have some kind of common ground or see some kind of empathy or love towards you, then you know that that's something that they have to work out. That's something that's inside of them. If that energy that you put out can't penetrate them, then there's something deeper there, and you might have to take a step back and protect yourself because there's something that they have to work out on their own. So no matter what, positivity is a good thing, even if you're being positive to someone that you don't want to be positive, because it helps you separate yourself from them. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
and that's also and so the collecting coins piece, yes, it definitely is a separator and a differentiator because you're doing it with an intention of regardless of how they act towards me, I'm still going to lead with that positivity. And I would assume that the collecting coins, I don't want to even say fills your cup anymore. It fills your proverbial positive piggy bank, bro. Like
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And not just with humans, man, just with the trajectory of my life. Being positive to everyone else helps me be positive in all aspects of my life. I'll give you an example. I just came back from Las Vegas. I was going somewhere where I needed my license, but I didn't know that my license was expired. So for I would say for a good hour, I was like, man, I can't believe I did that. I was upset. And then I just relaxed for a second and it came to me. So wait a minute, I can renew this online. I can renew my license online. And I did that. So I called the place back and I said, hey, I have my paperwork and everything. Can I come back there? And they said, we don't take that paperwork, but if you go to this other place, they will. So I ended up going to this other place, and the universe looked out for me so much because the place that I went to, mind you, I'm in Vegas by myself. I have nobody. So I say, drop me off here. I get to the place, and they're having an event, a comedy show, and there's a place where I can sit down, have a meal by myself, watch the comedy show happen, and enjoy myself by myself. If I would have been angry and panicked, I wouldn't have been able to calm down and think about, wait, I can just do this online. Or if everything would have worked out, if everything would have worked out perfectly and I would have had my license, I probably would have went to a place that didn't have such a great event that was suited for what I needed at the time. So collecting coins sets you up for other things too, not just your interactions with people, but it also helps you see the positive in everyday situation.
what you became because of the collecting coins mindset. It's also like instead of problem focused, you became solution focused, and you're looking for the positive in everyday situations that have
Everyday
nothing to do with
situation.
another human. Because like you could easily have said, "Shit, man, my license is expired. Now what am I gonna do?" and get down that rabbit hole of
I did
negativity.
for a second.
But then you stop. But the emotional intelligence piece, where
Right,
we
right.
talked about before, was that you stopped yourself.
Yeah, 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 for
You
sure.
were able to stop yourself in that moment where most people will just feed that wolf and go right down that rabbit
Yep.
hole,
And,
man.
and and a little bit that would help me is because even before I went and renewed my license, I actually Ubered to the place. Mind you, I'm in Vegas. I don't know anybody. I Ubered to the place, and I couldn't get in or whatever. So I called another Uber, and I just told the Uber, I said, "Yo, just drop me off somewhere to get something to eat. I'm gonna figure out the rest in my head." He dropped me off. Next thing I know, I'm on the strip walking around, enjoying the sights, and watching people, seeing everything that I wanted to see. I wouldn't have been able to see that if I would have been stuck at the place that I was supposed to originally go to. So back to that flow piece, you know, you gotta let go of having control sometimes. You gotta just get dropped off in the middle of nowhere and let things happen.
Yeah, man, that's so true. Uh, what advice do you have, Tim? I know I want to be gracious to your time here as well. Thank you so much for being
No
on.
problem. No.
But I got a couple more questions before we wrap
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
Like,
we're
what do
good.
you
We're good.
cool? What kind of advice do you have for somebody? I guess would be who's stuck or trying to find their purpose, feels unmotivated. You know, you just mentioned obviously going with the flow, but like, you know, what advice if they can't see that yet? What advice would you give them to kind of get out of that at first?
Yeah, so like I told you, I'm doing commencement speeches, and I I have a good speech that I did to the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, and it was to about 40 young Black entrepreneurs who wanted to get into the horticultural business or landscaping or something like that, and I had to explain to them that everything is not going to be good. There's going to be that roller coaster that we've been talking about. um, Now, how do you handle that? You have to relax. As I said earlier, we all have the answers to the next step that we're going to do. I have my own reasoning on why I think that we all know what's the next proper thing to do. That's neither here or there, but we all do have the answers. If you just relax, meditate, and truly listen to your mind, you will find the answers. That the answers are already there. I don't know how. I don't know how we all know right from wrong. I do. I don't know, but I do know how we all know right from wrong. But the answers are already in our own built-in AI system that God gave us. You know that you're not supposed to be drinking the night before you have to be at work. Don't do it. Listen to your mind. Your mind told you don't do it, but you said, nah, I can just go out to the club and I'll be back by 3 o'clock and I'll be fresh and ready to go to work, you know. But your mind already told you that that's not the right thing to do. Your mind told you not to lend that person money, but you did it anyway. you know, Listen to your conscience and it will guide the way. It'll
Yeah.
guide you.
How do they get to that point though too, Tim? It's like sometimes they feel so disconnected from that consciousness that they don't even
Yeah,
realize, like you said before, and what I said before was your screen of beliefs, like, you know, nothing's good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Brian Tracy would say, you know, we all have that screen of beliefs. Information goes into that filter in your
yeah,
brain, that screening, and then
yeah,
we decide if it's good or bad
yeah,
at that moment. So we make it that way. So like the unmotivated or the stuck, they think that they're stuck
yeah, yeah.
genuinely.
I
So how
think,
do you reconnect?
yeah, I think that what helped me with that before I even got to the way I was thinking now is that I went to therapy, and my therapist, she's one of the best people, Mary. She's one of the best people that I've ever met. Helped me realize so much in life, and I'm wondering now if maybe she knows what I know now. But she told me that self help is so important. It's so important. So now, what do I do? Every night, or almost every night, because I can't do it every night, I take an hour to myself just to relax. Me personally, I put on some music. Specifically lo-fi music for me. Um, I'll get the food that I like to eat. And I'll set the mood to a positive mood for myself. And that is, people think that meditation has to be quiet. They think that meditation has to be just you in a room, just in your head. No, meditation is changing your mindset, your mood from a negative to a positive. And we all have that power of doing that. We can go home right now and we can turn on something that we can turn on a comedy and change our mood. And, or we can join a bowling league and bowl every Tuesday night to relieve our stress. You know, there's so many things that we can do to change our mindset. We just have to be aware that we can change our mindset. People think that they're stuck. And we're, me and you are no different. We thought that we were stuck many times in our lives. Um, but for me, through therapy, I realized that I'm not stuck. I can go home wherever you find solace. You know, some people might want to go to the river, or some people might want to, you know, go to a movie or something like that. But the only thing you have to do is change your mood by doing something that you enjoy, which should be the first thing that you're doing anyway. You know, that's actually the first step. Doing what makes you the happiest, when you find the most excitement doing. Um, that will eliminate a lot of stuff. But even when you find that, you're gonna have your ups and downs. And what do? You just take that hour, half hour, 10 minutes, and put something positive into your eyes, put something positive into your ears, put something positive into your stomach, and I guarantee that'll change your mindset, and that'll help you relax so you can find a solution.
Yeah, man, exactly. Like, and you get more connected to source and the universe that way, and you become more of the observer of your thoughts rather than the reactor with
Oh
that
yeah.
practice. So I appreciate that. I think the audience is going to love that. Tim, as we close out here, like, talk to me a little bit about like what's driving you to come out of retirement for fighting, like,
Yeah.
decide to fight again, and then where do you see things going from here, over the next like 5-10 years for you, running for
Okay.
school board, the business, and the nonprofit, Witherspoon Community Initiative.
Okay. So I'm still a boxer, Lyle, so sometimes you're gonna have to cut those answers into two or three. Actually, those questions into two
Right,
or
right,
three
right.
parts.
I
But
threw it all at you at once. I'm sorry.
yeah. I'm still suffering a little bit from some punches,
It's all
but
good.
uh, um, so what motivated me to come back to boxing was I I, I was 39 years old. I'm 40 now, and I don't want to call it a midlife crisis or whatever, but I just wanted to challenge myself. And by challenge myself, I didn't mean trying to fight for a world championship or anything like that. I just wanted to have another fight. Uh, and so happened that the galaxy delivered, or the universe delivered, uh, and it was supposed to happen back in October, but it didn't happen. And I told myself, I said, all right, that's the universe telling me that I'm not gonna don't fight anymore. I'm not going to influence other people by me competing anymore. That's what I thought. It's me putting things in my own hand. But really what I think happened now is that the universe said that this is not the time to do it because we have something better for you to do. So now I'm fighting the same opponent for way more money on a way bigger stage. And it's somebody that I was willing to fight just because I wanted to prove to myself, you know. So that's where I'm fighting. It's a great opportunity. This is a championship fight. Obviously, it's the social media influencer circuit. I'm 40 years old. I'm not trying to be a professional world champion on that circuit. I know my limitations. This is making me happy though. Uh, um, and it's like this is just one step. But and while I didn't, when I said when I accepted that I wasn't going to fight anymore, uh, I ended up doing something that people were pushing me to do for years now, 10 years, which was go to the Democratic political parties meeting that they have every month. Uh, and I've been fighting it. My wife didn't want me to go and be a part of it. I was still building the gym, some of it. I was still fighting some of it. My mentor kept pushing me, kept saying, "Yo, Ted, you gotta be, this is right up your alley. You know, you don't know the stuff in the community. This is the be." So when I gave up the boxing, I went to this meeting, and the first day they voted me in. Um, And then the second day, ended up being nominated to be one of the. We have four people running for school board in our party. There's 8 seats, and they chose me to be one of them. So that is like another thing that I think is just part of the process, part of the universe speaking to me. Gave me that little bit of time, gave me a chance to do something else that's working out. And now I'm able to do both of them at the same time. And what are they doing? They're helping me live my life to the fullest excitement. It's crazy. So when you ask me the question of where do I see myself in the next 5 to 10 years, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. When the only place I ever saw myself initially was being a fighter. That's the only place I ever saw myself being. I didn't even know I was capable of everything else until I retired from boxing. That's how focused I was on fighting. I thought that was my identity. That's all I was. And then when I got away from that, I realized, wait a minute, I'm so much more than just a boxer. I can do all these things. And now that I've put in that groundwork, I also manifested where I'm at today. All the fruits of my labor are allowing for those things to come true. I don't have any aspirations to be the president or anything like that. But my main goal, I guess, in the next 5 to 10 years would be to be more stable in the community, to be someone that the community knows that they can come to for help. I think that's where I want to be in the next 5 to 10 years.
I love that, man. And guess what? By the way,
Yeah.
you answered all those questions very effectively.
I know.
I got faith in you, brain, bro. I knew I could ask that. I knew that you had it.
Don't do it again.
All right, I won't do it again. If anything, man, we're gonna be wrapping up here. As we do,
Yeah.
Tell me, where can people find the gym, support the nonprofit, and connect with you?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
how can the audience, support you in all those different ways, your upcoming fights, etc.?
Yeah, so the best way to do anything when it comes to me, because I have so many different branches and stuff, is to just Google Tim Witherspoon Jr. and all that stuff will come up. But our boxing gym is in Bristol Borough, Canal Street. If you're in the area or not, if you're just coming to visit, you can also look us up on witherspoonboxing.com and find us there. My personal Instagram is Terrible I. That was my boxing maker, Terrible T. So you'll find me there. Tim Witherspoon Jr. on Facebook. Yeah, man, and I just want everybody to know also that hopefully by the end of the year I'll be having my own book coming out called The 10 Rounds of Success. So that's something that I'm working on right now. It has a lot to do with what we've been talking about today on how to manifest your dreams and what you want to happen and the steps to get there. Also, understanding the natural algorithm of life, how our decisions determine what happens next to us. A lot of people don't think about these things. We're just living day to day, but we don't understand the control we have. So my 10 rounds of success started out as how to start your business and 10 rounds on how to do that, and then turn into a 10 rounds of success just for life, period. Yeah, so I want everyone to look out for that. That'll be coming out hopefully by the end of the year. It's something that I'm working on. But other than that, Tim Witherspoon Jr. everywhere.
I will include all your social media links in the description of this episode as well. And then when the book comes out, we'll have another episode and we'll deep dive it a little bit more. And then we'll have a link for everybody to be able to purchase that book as well. So Tim, as we wrap up, like any other things you want to leave the audience with and the Great American Underdog community that's listening in?
No, man, I just want to tell you, I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to be on your podcast. And just for everybody in the world, man, just show love, passion. Not passion. Yeah, you need passion. show love, passion, compassion, and positivity. Those are how you're gonna get your coins, guys. That's how you're gonna get those coins and level up till you meet the final boss.
Yeah, man, 100%. So go out, everybody, and collect those coins. Tim, once again, thank you so much for being on Great American Underdog. This has been another incredible episode, inspiring stories of strength and success from real life underdogs, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Tim.